Every day, a struggle for survival plays out across Africa. Predators binge on the dead. And nature's undertakers circle above, waiting for their chance. When the mighty fall, an army descends to devour what others leave behind. For they too must nurture their precious families. This is the cleanup crew of Africa. The first rays of morning break through the clouds over the ancient cliffs of the Waterberg in South Africa's Marikele National Park. Even though a winter chill hangs in the air, the cliffs are alive with birds. Cape vultures from the largest colony in Africa soar gracefully along the sheer rock faces. It's breeding season. Here, nearly 3,000 feet above the ground, the birds and their fragile eggs are safe from predators such as mongooses. It's also shady, sheltering the birds from the solar onslaught, which can be severe even during winter. This is the most stressful time of the year. Parents face the daunting challenge of finding enough food to sustain themselves, while sharing incubating duties at the nest. Cape vultures are faithfully monogamous, usually pairing for life. Couples share the workload equally and will continue to do so for the next 6 months, until their fledgling chick takes to the air for itself. Even then, juveniles depend on parents to help them find food until they're more than a year old. Vultures are birds of prey, but they're unlike any other raptors, such as kestrels, eagles, and their kin, which are all lethal hunters. Vultures never kill. They are the only vertebrates that rely completely on scavenging for food. "23 species occur around the world, soaring above every continent, with the exception of Antarctica and Australia. 9 of these live in Africa. Most congregate on wide-open savannas teeming with great herds, while others, such as rupels and bearded vultures, patrol the craggy mountains that run almost the length of the eastern side of the continent. From the Drakensberg escarpment in the south to the rarefied reaches of Ethiopia's high Simien Mountains in the north. Wherever they spread their wings, vultures are critical cogs in the food webs of their environments, clearing up dead and decaying flesh before it can spread disease. At the foot of the Waterberg's mountains, beneath the nesting vultures, the savanna animals are also suffering. But not because they're breeding. They're locked in the grips of winter. This is the dry season, and food is in short supply for grazers and browsers. Most trees have dropped their leaves to preserve the little water they draw from the parched earth. Those that retain their foliage are doing everything in their power to prevent their leaves from being eaten. They've loaded their leaves with chemicals called tannins. These make the leaves less palatable and harder for animals such as this tsessebe antelope to digest. This winter is particularly severe. No rain has fallen for months, and only the dwindling waterholes provide refuge. While healthy young animals take the challenging conditions in their stride, one old-timer is feeling the pinch. Nearby, a small pride of lions is lazing about in the shade. In contrast to the herbivores, the challenging dry season is creating a favorable hunting ground for them. The prey animals are weak, their senses dulled by lack of food. They succumb easily. So happy days are here for the cats as they revel in the glut of food. The old giraffe is dead. It's only been a matter of hours, but already the stomach gases have bloated the carcass. The trapped gas forcefully vomited the stomach contents into the dusty surroundings. Flies are quick to arrive. They're the first opportunists to appear. A small flock of red-billed oxpeckers descends to feast on engorged ticks. Ordinarily, oxpeckers avoid corpses, unless they're very fresh. For now, they have the carcass to themselves. It won't be long, however, before the rest of the cleanup crew arrives. The sun means good flying conditions, with thermal updrafts pretty much guaranteed. The breeding vultures take the opportunity to change guard on the nest. This female's been patient for almost 18 hours. Although she's not been active at the nest, she still needs to eat to fuel her metabolism and maintain her body temperature. It's cool at this altitude on the shady cliffs. She looks around patiently, eagerly scanning the sky for her partner. To breed successfully, both parents must work in unison. It's a lifelong commitment. Nearby, another male returns to fulfill his obligations at the nest. But she's still waiting. With a brief flutter of feathers, his hungry partner takes to the wing in search of food. Vultures are amongst the biggest birds, some species tipping the scales at more than 30 pounds. While their size benefits them in numerous ways, it also means they need help taking off. This makes the Cape's cliffside home a handy launch pad. Winds striking the cliff are deflected upwards, creating updrafts that help the giant birds soar without burning too much fuel. Vultures keep flapping to a minimum, preferring to use any assistance they can garner from their aerial environment. The birds gain lift by repeatedly crossing the boundaries between air pockets. Biologists refer to this as dynamic soaring. And vultures are the masters. It's even been suggested that they can see thermals in the air around them. When they find good lift, vultures spiral into it, using the rising air to climb thousands of feet into the heavens. From there, they head off in search of the dead and dying. Capable of cross-country marathons in excess of 400 miles. Their size enables them to soar over huge distances between isolated pockets of food, while relying on substantial body reserves between these sporadic feasts. By comparison, actively hunting predators are able to pursue a relatively predictable source of food. The male finally returns to his patiently waiting partner. He'll now take over care of their single precious egg. Day in, day out, for the next 5 weeks, the routine won't change. He slowly settles into his shift. Generally, there's only one chance to breed a season, so every effort is made to ensure their lone youngster survives. Around the diminishing waterhole, more and more animals congregate, drawn by the only water for miles around. It's been 2 days since the giant fell. Flies aren't the only ones who've located the treasure trove. The torn flesh belies the presence of another visitor. A lone hyena paid a fleeting visit during the night to feed on the soft underbelly. But he didn't stay long. The resident lion pride in this area guards its home ruthlessly. They've already killed 4 hyenas in the last 6 months. There's little love lost between these rival carnivores. With enough altitude gained, the vultures peel off, scanning the earth below for fresh kills. Generally, they're not fussy. Any carcass will do, from rhinos to rabbits. They have razor-sharp eyesight, 8 times better than humans. It's like using a pair of binoculars to scan the landscape below. During flight, vultures scan at an angle slightly ahead and below them. But they have a critical blind spot directly in front. This can have devastating consequences in a rapidly changing world. Human hazards, such as power lines and wind turbines, now pose a major threat. But here, they've only got eyes for food. As the vultures scan the ground for dead animals, they also keep careful tabs on each other. If one drops to the ground, it's a clue to everyone. And a sky full of circling vultures is sure sign there's a carcass. They've found the dead giraffe. A black-backed jackal has also found the carcass, but he won't stand his ground against the coming storm. The feast begins. But giraffes have tough hides. So the early birds need to target soft spots. One drawback of a scavenging lifestyle is that food is both unpredictable and in limited supply. This means that when an opportunity presents itself, there's no standing back. A dead giraffe is a huge meal. It will fill plenty of gizzards. But competition is intense. A marabou stork joins the feeding frenzy, attracted by all the activity. These huge birds are part-time scavengers, and the giraffe is too good an opportunity to miss. remain aloof, preferring to fight each other over scraps stolen from their quarrelsome colleagues rather than joining the scrum. In as little as 5 minutes, the vultures can fill themselves with enough food to last for 2 or 3 days. Their digestive system is incredible at utilizing even the poorest cuts. Bone, skin, sinew are all processed by their highly acidic stomach juices. This acid bath even kills the microorganisms that thrive in decaying flesh. Rotten meat that would strike down the average human with botulism is eaten with impunity. Having wolfed down as much as possible, up to 20% of its body weight, this one waddles off. The overstuffed birds spread their wings with their backs to the sun, using its warmth to help them digest their gluttonous meals. By the end of the day, they've made a severe dent in the giraffe. The vultures are eating the carcass from the inside out. But there's lots of meat still locked under impenetrable hide. As the sun sets, the vultures disperse to their overnight roosts. Dark shadows soon adorn the nearby trees, like macabre Christmas decorations. The feast will continue in the morning. But the vultures aren't alone. Lions may be the king of beasts, but like most monarchs, they're not above pilfering the produce of the masses. Having caught wind of the vulture feast in the surroundings, the pride has come over to investigate. The dead giraffe is an easy meal, as long as the lions find the carcass early enough. In warmer climates, the rotting flesh becomes toxic with botulism in a matter of weeks. The scavengers wake to the unwanted company. A pair of hooded vultures looks on in dismay. the pride of six gorges itself. While the vultures are banished from the table. Usually, dominant males jealously guard their meals. But the giraffe is large enough for him to tolerate the rest of the family dining alongside him. The members of his pride have had their fill. And the undertakers, mournfully gathering around, look on expectantly. But he continues to guard his spoils. With tummies bulging, the lions take cover in the shade as the day heats up. When they move away, the vultures close in. It's a game of cat and mouse. Left to their own devices, vultures will devour this carcass in the time it takes for even the quickest catnap. So the lions are sleeping with one eye open. There's nothing for it but to wait and pick on any scraps that have fallen from the royal table. Throughout the day, the lions continue to guard their bounty. A lion can eat as much as 25 pounds of meat in a sitting. And this giraffe means the pride won't need to hunt for a few days. Still, the cleanup crew must wait. For now, the pressure is off, but even so, the male is not generous. Having eaten their fill, the cats retreat to sleep off their meal. Throughout Africa, many species of vulture are in sharp decline. They're some of the most endangered birds on the continent, victims of habitat destruction, food shortages, and poaching for traditional medicine. Below the Marrakele cliffs, a cold wind blows through the prone feathers of a dead vulture. There are no maggots, a sure sign that she was poisoned. The toxin even kills the flies. Livestock farmers often leave carcasses laced with poison to kill unwanted predators such as jackals and hyenas. What's more, with the recent increase in rhino poaching, there is a threat from an even more sinister quarter. Rhino poachers seeking to hide their activities from anti-poaching patrols are now intentionally poisoning vultures. Vultures are quick to gather at the crime scenes, alerting authorities. So the poachers lace the rhino carcasses with poison to kill off the telltale scavengers. Vultures are unfortunate bystanders in this senseless, indiscriminate war. The new day holds promise for the waiting vultures. The lions have dismembered the giraffe, ultimately benefiting the birds. They quickly pounce on a discarded limb. Hooded vultures are there first. Then the larger white-backed and cape flock to the scene. But they avoid the main carcass itself. It still pays to be careful when lions could be near. One brave individual creeps closer. It seems the coast is clear. Still no lions. One by one, they venture in. Then the masses descend, realizing the carcass is theirs once more. Now it's a frantic squabble to eat what little remains. Their strong beaks are specially designed to pick at sinews and remove meat from bones. Bone fragments created by the large crushing jaws of the predators are prime targets, loaded with valuable calcium. They're especially important for laying birds, which need the mineral to make strong eggs, and for feeding their youngsters. Calcium also builds the strong, light bones needed for flight. Two lappet-faced vultures, one of the largest species in Africa, have also joined the fray. Their powerful bills make quick work of the tough hide. Although they're much larger than Cape and white-backed vultures, the sheer numbers of these smaller species muscle them out. As the amount of meat left on the giraffe rapidly diminishes, it becomes every vulture for itself. Dominant birds try to muscle others out of the way, goose-stepping and spreading their wings to intimidate rivals. It's now survival of the fittest. Soon there's little left of the majestic giraffe that once strode purposefully across this landscape. Its skin hangs as a tired glove, loosely fitting a withered skeleton. All that remains are a few maggots. and the flies still buzzing around the leftovers. But even they are slowly drifting away in search of the next meal. The cleanup crew has done its job, preventing the carcass from rotting and spreading disease. Over time, the bones will slowly decompose back into the dust that gave them birth, feeding the trees and grasses that will return to this landscape with the next rains. Dust to dust, as the great wheel of life turns on the wide open savannas of Africa. Their ancestors were the first vertebrates to colonize dry land. They inhabit every continent except Antarctica. But their world is rapidly changing. "20 species call this city home. What were once their wetlands are now our playgrounds. Golf courses, racetracks, urban development. This is the land to which they cling. Around the world, frog populations are in decline, and time is running out." It's late August in Cape Town, on the southwestern tip of Africa. This is the winter rainy season. Clouds gathering over Table Mountain herald a coming storm. The promise of rain is a signal for one of the city's most threatened inhabitants to move. A western leopard toad emerges from her daytime haunt. She's not alone. Another appears from a pile of firewood. Across the city, the entire population is on the move. These striking toads are explosive breeders. But they only have a limited 2-week window in which to mate. So tonight, everyone's heading to their nearest pond to get a piece of the action. But a perilous journey lies ahead. As many as 1 in 5 may die. Humans continue to destroy much of the toad's natural habitat. Now the wetlands they need to breed are few and far between. The roads they must cross teem with vehicles. When cars meet frogs, there's only one winner. The rains have spurred another city inhabitant into action. Cape rain frogs are calling. These endemic frogs only live in 2 small areas in the southern Cape of South Africa. Cape rain frogs live underground to prevent dehydration, venturing out to hunt and mate only on misty or wet nights. Unlike the leopard toads, they don't need standing water to breed because they don't have free-swimming tadpoles like most other frogs. They can't even swim properly. As far as frogs go, Cape rain frogs are also not what you'd call athletic. Both sexes are chubby with short limbs, which creates a problem. Many male frogs climb onto females' backs to mate in what scientists call amplexus. From this position, they fertilize the eggs externally. But female rain frogs are too plump, and his arms are too short. So to overcome the challenge, they both secrete a special glue onto their skin, allowing the male to stick to the female's back. She doesn't seem to mind her overly clingy partner. Despite the night's exertions, she's still got other appetites. A juicy earthworm does just the trick. Nothing like a little romance to fuel your hunger. From his piggyback position, the male fertilizes her eggs externally as she lays them underground. The tadpoles develop in a jelly egg mass and emerge as miniature versions of their parents a month or so later. Frogs are amphibians, an ancient group of animals descended from the first vertebrates to venture out of the water 400 million years ago. Even today, most amphibians have one foot on dry land and the other in water. While they're able to live and breathe in air, most lay their eggs in standing water, where they hatch into tadpoles. In some species, these are decidedly fish-like. The earliest known frogs evolved during the reign of the dinosaurs in the early Jurassic, 200 million years ago. From these earliest beginnings, frogs have diversified into more than 6,000 different species across all continents, with the exception of Antarctica. Frogs occur in all shapes and colors. The smallest can happily sit on a human thumbnail, while giant bullfrogs can grow 10 inches long and weigh 4.5 pounds. Large warty frogs tend to be called toads. But this is confusing because using the terms frogs and toads is like saying birds and eagles. All toads are frogs. This habit dates from Victorian times. The UK only has 6 species of native frogs, 3 of which are in the toad family. Because of this, the superfluous habit developed of referring to toads and frogs as if they were distinct. And when it comes to frog names, people have been somewhat predictable. The micro frog is tiny. Giant bullfrogs are massive. The rain frog comes out in the rain. Clicking stream frogs click. And shovel-nosed frogs have an unfortunately proportioned schnoz. At least it's good for digging. As far as the naming stakes go, leopard toads have it lucky, thanks to their beautiful yellow and brown camouflage. But appearance isn't all that's important. Frog skin is an incredible organ in its own right. While frogs have well-developed lungs for breathing air, they've also retained the ability to breathe through their moist skins when underwater. Some species have even evolved toxic secretions from the glands in their skin to dissuade predators. These often have startling colors to warn hunters to stay clear, sometimes bordering on the absurd, such as these mantellas, only found on the island of Madagascar. Others are secretly toxic. When threatened by predators, leopard toads secrete a white milky toxin from the lumpy glands behind their eyes. This is seldom lethal to the attacker, but can cause significant discomfort. Back in the suburbs of Cape Town, the male leopard toads have gathered at the ponds. These now reverberate with deep, low-frequency calls. Casanovas calling for their lovers. With few exceptions, frogs vocalize to call for mates. Vibrating vocal cords make the sound, which is then amplified by the special balloon-like pouch on the throat. If only human females found the sound of snoring so deeply attractive. Emerging from urban gardens, the female leopard toads all have one thing on their mind. Hopping out of the undergrowth, they're following their instincts. The female is returning to the pool where she was spawned. Year in and year out, her routine doesn't change. Though new obstacles may arise, but this cat has encountered toads before and knows better than to take a bite. She moves on. Having survived the cat, she now makes a crucial error. Swimming pools are giant traps from which there is no escape. Falling into the sheer-sided pool is a death sentence. Unable to escape, she'll soon tire and drown. Luckily for her, tonight there's a helping hand to set her back on her way. She moves through the driveway and towards the gate. The first part of this female's journey is over. But this is only the end of the beginning. Frogs most often live alongside water in moist conditions in the tropics. But they can actually be found in almost every habitat. The last place you'd expect to find a frog is the desert coastline of South Africa. Yet here in the semi-arid regions of the West Coast, one species has adapted to the rigors of desert life. As night approaches, barking geckos serenade the sunset. Reptiles such as this seem right at home here. So is the surprisingly hardy desert rain frog. Like his relatives further south, these frogs also are not athletic. And like the Cape rain frogs, they're capable of living and breeding in the absence of standing water. After a night of hunting, dawn approaches. He finds a suitable spot and buries himself under the sand. He'll stay here all day, cool and damp, and safe from the baking heat of the desert sun. "1,200 miles to the east and 1.5 miles above sea level, conditions are very different on the summit of the Drakensberg Mountains. Here, rivers surge off the sheer slopes. And winter temperatures drop way below freezing. Streams ice up. And yet even here, frogs endure. Maluti river frogs. This is the only place in the world they're found, despite the cold. When the temperature plummets and the surface of streams freezes, the frogs survive in the warmer water under the ice. Up here, sunshine can also cause a problem. Harmful UV radiation at high altitudes is intense. To counter this, these frogs effectively wear sunglasses. A growth called an umbraculum covers part of the eye, protecting the retina inside. Whether they live in deserts, mountains, or streams, frogs are most active in misty and rainy conditions. On the mountains skirting Cape Town, Rose's mountain toadlets are also breeding. The small mountain pools are full of eggs and tadpoles. Unlike the leopard toads, these little frogs are silent. They're the only species in South Africa which go about their business without so much as a peep. At the mountain's feet, hundreds of flat, dainty frog couples are locked in loving embrace. Unlike their silent mountain cousins, they're in full voice. It's early in the evening, and the females haven't started to lay yet. But over the next few hours, the pool will be swimming in frogs' eggs. Frogs' eggs are good food for fish and even insects. So the kloof frogs in the province of KwaZulu-Natal in the east of the country have evolved a cunning strategy to help reduce the threat. Rather than laying their eggs in water, they lay their brood on leaves or branches above water in a sticky jelly. Over the next week, they develop. From newly laid eggs to jelly baby-like embryos with external gills to recognizable tadpoles. After about 6 days, these will hatch and drop into the water. But this individual's nest has a problem. The branch has fallen into the stream, and the predators are at the ready. Water scorpions, named for their superficial resemblance to their terrestrial namesakes. But they're insects, not arachnids, and are more closely related to aphids. The water scorpion pierces an egg with his needle-like mouthparts and proceeds to suck out the contents. Frogs are not the only group of animals breeding. A colony of weaver birds is also busy with its own preparations for the coming season. Males busily advertise their woven creations, hoping to win the affections of a female. They're a noisy bunch. So too are the frogs below. While most frogs prefer to romance their partners in the dark, these raucous toads are more audacious. They breed day or night. Hidden in the reeds, this male is calling in a small dam on the outskirts of Cape Town. But he's not alone. The shallows are full of couples. As the females lay their eggs, the males fertilize them externally in the water. It's a veritable orgy. But not every lid finds its pot. And this lone male watches in frustration as everyone else gets lucky. Maybe tomorrow will be his day, or he'll have to wait another year to get his shot. Female raucous toads lay approximately 10,000 eggs in long jelly strings. Other local species can lay as many as 25,000. Over the coming week, remarkable changes will take place under the surface. Throughout history, frogs have played an important role in human mystery and legend. They were a sign of fertility and resurrection for the ancient Egyptians. And so frogs were folded into the bandages used to wrap mummies. Medieval doctors in Europe used frogs in all sorts of treatments, ranging from nosebleeds to diarrhea. European fairy tales transform a lowly frog into a handsome prince, simply with a maiden's kiss. Perhaps these legends have their roots in the magical transformation that all frogs undergo as they metamorphose from egg to adult. Frogs that lay their eggs in water tend to hide them among the plants on the edges of ponds and streams to reduce their chance of getting eaten by fish. When they hatch, they emerge looking nothing like their adults. This pool is full of African clawed frog tadpoles. For all the world, they look like fish. They breathe with gills and are herbivores with a long intestine. This species filters food from the water. As they grow, they undergo dramatic changes. Their intestine shortens and changes from being suited to a predominantly herbivorous diet to an adult one that's carnivorous. Little mouths grow into wide, bony mouths. Gills give way to lungs. Legs slowly appear. Tails shrink. And the eyes grow big and bulbous, all in preparation for the water-land duality that is their adult life. Most frogs are carnivores. This adult African clawed frog is lurking in the shallows. He enjoys a varied diet, ranging from fish to other frogs, and even plankton, and spends most of his time in the water. Well-developed webbed hind feet help him swim. He can see the plankton in the water, but relies more on his sense of smell to pick off the minuscule crustaceans. The rains have brought him an unexpected windfall. An earthworm, washed from its burrow, has fallen into the pond. It's a sizable meal. But worms can be tricky to swallow if you're not used to them. Eventually, he's successful, and he returns to his lair to digest his meal. Although frogs can be voracious predators, they're more often on the receiving end. A brown water snake is on the prowl. He's looking for an easy meal. And frogs are definitely on his menu. But they take some catching. Powerful hind legs propel the amphibians from danger. But the snake's not one to give up in a hurry. Success. The meal should last the brown water snake several days. A green water snake is also looking for his share of the spoils. He knows that the rain triggers frog activity. He's an expert frog predator. but the rains have woken a sleeping giant. A giant bullfrog emerges from his underground burrow. He's spent the dry season estivating, or lying dormant underground. His long 5-month sleep has left him hungry. So the first thing on his agenda is food. Giants like this eat a range of prey, including insects, frogs, mice, and even snakes. Hunters can easily turn into the hunted in the topsy-turvy underworld. With his appetite sated, the bullfrog can now turn to other pressing matters. He knows the rain means many females will also be out and about. Back in the city, the female leopard toad is still on the move, drawn by her crooning suitors. But crossing busy roads is a life and death adventure. And many of the others don't make it. Despite the danger, the females have no choice. They must go on if they are to breed successfully. She makes it. As leopard toad numbers in Cape Town have declined alarmingly, people across the city have responded. Signs warn motorists to be on the lookout for toads. And groups of volunteers, whimsically calling themselves toad nuts, patrol the roads. They lay temporary toad fences along busy thoroughfares, channeling toads into traps so they can gather them up and release them safely. Cape Town is a marble cake of urban and natural environments. Table Mountain National Park stands proud as the green heart of one of the world's most beautiful cities. It contains a rich diversity of flora and fauna, including one of the rarest frogs in Africa, the Table Mountain ghost frog. This critically endangered species lives in 6 small ravines on the eastern slopes of the mountain. These frogs are specially adapted to the rigors of living in the fast-flowing water rushing off the mountain. Sucker-like mouthparts help them stick to the rock in cascading torrents. They only live here, on the slopes of Table Mountain, which makes them extremely vulnerable to any habitat loss. Yet even here, in their protected environment, the populations of ghost frogs are under threat from the historical reservoirs that were built to supply parts of the city with water. These decrease the flow in the river, which can be devastating for the frogs. The recent dramatic decline in local frog populations has not gone unnoticed. Scientists now monitor vulnerable species in the vicinity of Cape Town and have put in place active conservation measures to protect the most endangered frogs. Wetlands such as this one in the center of Cape Town's Kenilworth Racecourse are carefully protected and monitored. This is the last known haunt in the city of a tiny endangered species called the micro frog. The rest of their wetland homes have been paved over. Ironically, the desire to watch horse races here at Kenilworth meant that the infield area was kept clear of invasive trees, which inadvertently saved the wetlands and protected the micro frogs. If it weren't for the racecourse, they would now be locally extinct. While ghost frogs, micro frogs, and leopard toads are threatened, one of the city's residents has become surprisingly cosmopolitan: the African clawed frog. During the 1930s, scientists realized they could use these frogs for the world's first pregnancy test. Urine from a pregnant woman contains high levels of certain hormones. And if this is injected into a female African clawed frog, it triggers the frog to spawn, clearly indicating that the woman is pregnant. Once this was discovered, African clawed frogs were bred and transported around the world. They also became popular pets. They're capable of surviving in a range of different habitats. So as these frogs invariably escaped or were released, they established themselves in the wilds of South America, North America, and Europe. And in their home country, these native frogs have invaded new habitats. But one place that isn't to their liking is the Cape. The waters here are darker and more acidic, bad for African clawed frogs, but good for Cape platanas. Unfortunately, as the water quality of many ponds has changed with urban development, so the African clawed frog has spread, displacing and interbreeding with the Cape platanas. This species is now extremely threatened, and few places with pure populations remain. Scientists regularly monitor the frogs. By scanning embedded microchips, researchers gain information on their population viability, movements, and mortality rates. It also allows them to check for unwanted African clawed frogs and remove any hybrids. Hopefully, this will help keep the Cape Platana species alive. Around the world, fragile populations of frogs are only just holding on against all odds. Including some of the most flamboyant characters of the natural world. Whether they wear Liberace-style cloaks or drab Dickensian greens and browns, they're under threat. Now their fate often lies in human hands. Samaritans that brave the cold and wet to ward off extinction. After a long, stressful night, the female leopard toad has finally made it. As she enters the water, she joins many others, swimming in search of their singing mates. The danger is over for them. In the coming days, they will find partners and lay thousands of eggs in the water, ensuring that for now, another generation of western leopard toads will emerge. And snore the city to sleep on wet August nights for many years to come.